peeps, welcome back to another Fortnite creative tutorial, where today I'm going to show you how to set up a single-use button using direct event mining. And how it's going to work is I'm going to be able to collect this, get myself a cool drink, but I'm not going to be able to collect it again. So, let's go ahead and get this started. Alright, so I've laid out the devices we're going to use for this tutorial. This event system will work in both UEFN and 1.0. I like to do these tutorials because not everybody is good with verse for UEFN, me included, trust me. So I like to make these tutorials, and we still have some amazing 1.0 maps coming out, and I figured this could help with some of those creations. Anyway, I'm rambling. Let's get this started. So for this tutorial, the optional thing obviously is going to be the XP Accolade device. It's actually called Accolade. I don't know why I called it XP. I guess I was reading. Anyway, the Accolade device. UEFN users, you are not going to be able to use this. The tracker is optional, but I highly recommend using it so players can keep track of the items or whatever it is that they are collecting. If it's a find the button, how many buttons have they found, etc. This is just used for the sake of this tutorial. Don't worry about that. This is the item granter. This is if you're going to be granting anything for their collecting. I'm using slap juice right now so you can see the collection actually happening. Normally for this, with this here, I would probably do like a coin or something or whatever you want. This is an optional item. Definitely would highly recommend having 2 HUD messages. One is going to be when they first collect an item. It's going to tell them they've collected it, or if they found a button or whatever it is. Use this. If it is already collected, it will have this HUD message. You are definitely going to need a button and a switch. The reason we do not just use the switch is because the options in here do not save when players leave and join back, even with persistence on. Alright, so I'm going to be clearing my throat a lot, so be ready for that, because allergies are just on fire. Let's get started with first our single-use switch. I've already named my devices, by the way. Highly recommend you doing that. And our button. I'm also going to go ahead and grab this guy over here so we can set up how many we're going to collect. So for later with our tracker, 1, 2, and 3. I don't care how straight they are. It's just a tutorial. Okay. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to grab this HUD device. Let's put that right there. And our already collected HUD device, okay? All right. So I have 3 that I'm going to set up for this, okay? So I'm going to do my best to cover this as best I can. Let's start with the button. The buttons only function, or not even function, it's actually an event, is going to send to our single-use switch. When it sends to the switch, which is our collection switch, whatever you call it for the sake of this tutorial, I'm calling things single-use, you are going to have it check the state. Alright? That's all we're going to have it do. So what happens when you press this button, it's just going to check what the state of this switch is. Is it on? Is it off? Other than that, if you go over here to your regular settings, set your interaction time, whatever you like. We're going to put it on 0.75 for this tutorial. If you have any team things you're doing with it, you know, this is all up to you. Times can trigger, leave that on infinite. You don't want it to be disabled after someone else gets done and the other person wants to collect it. Trigger sound, I like to have it off. Enabled at game start, make sure it's enabled. For my interaction text, for mine, I'm just going to do collect coin. Whoops, I left the I out. Collect coin. Visible in game, I don't like mine to be visible. I like it to be put into a prop of some sort. Interaction radius, I like to be generous with the interaction radius a little bit, so it's not a pain to catch. Alright, or collect, rather. So here's all the modifications I made to my button, my single-use button here. I changed how long I wanted them to hold it, whether it had a sound or not, made sure it had some sort of interaction text, made sure it was turned off during the game, and I gave it a radius to be collected. Okay? So now we're done with our button, for now. We're going to go over here to our single-use switch. And what we're going to do here is we're going to go to functions, make sure our button is in there. I'm OCD like that. I like to make sure. In our events, what we're going to do is for when our button checks, for on, check result on. I want it to go to my HUD collected, the HUD that's going to tell the player they already collected it. And we'll check those settings out in a second. And I'm going to do show. That's all we need to do from when the result is the switch is already on. For on check result off, that's when it's checked and then the switch is off. We're going to have it send a signal to itself. That switch right there. And we're going to have it turn itself on. Okay? That's all we need that to do. So if it's already on, it's going to tell the HUD message that it's already to send a signal to the player that's already collected, or to show the HUD, which is going to say already collected. If it's off, it's going to tell the switch to turn itself on. Now, we need it to do some stuff when it turns on. So we're going to go to on, turned on, and we are going to have it sent to my other HUD, the very first time they collected it, and have it show, again, I'll show you the settings in a second. We're also going to have it, for the sake of this tutorial, go to an item granter and for the collection, and we're going to grant the item, okay? And that's all we really need to do here. That's it. So now when this turns on, it's going to check, the switch is going to check itself. Am I on or am I off? If I'm on, I'm going to send a signal to that HUD. If I'm off, I'm going to turn myself on and send a signal to that HUD and that item granter. Going to these options, enable to game start, yes. Initial state will be off. Visible in game, it doesn't really matter, because if you're not having it visible in the game, you're having it in your mechanics area. If you are having it visible in the game, it's usually going to be on an achievement board. Don't have to do any of this turn on, turn off text. The model, if you're using an achievement board, I highly recommend the checkbox, but obviously that's going to be up to you. Sound, I like it off, to be honest. Allow interaction, this is a must. Turn it off. No interaction. We don't want people abusing the button if you have it in the map. Limit times can change. Don't worry about that. You don't have to worry about any of this unless it's team-based and class-based. Don't worry about the interaction radius. Check state at game start. Turn that off. Have it disabled. Because what's going to happen if you have that enabled, if you have it checking when the game starts, it's going to do just like the button does. It's going to tell it to check itself. And when it checks itself and it's off, it's going to turn on. So we want to make sure check state at game start is disabled. We don't worry about any of this. Now, 1.0 with your use persistence, you're going to go ahead and have it use. If you want this to be something they can come back and continue playing, make sure it's on use. Autosave is on, and the load state is going to be on game start. And store state per player, yes. So that will store that for that player. And that's pretty much everything you need. Here is what we did. Just go ahead and look at that. All right, so we're ready to test this. No, we're not. The HUD. All right, so this is my HUD when a player first collects their first coin, egg, whatever you're having them collect. So checking here, we're gonna make sure that the show is on single use, which it is. So we're good to go there. For a message, whatever you want to type, for this one I'm going to go coin collected. Message recipient, turn that on, triggering player, and then show for duration, time, display time, 2 seconds we're going to do for this tutorial. All this obviously is going to be up to you, but this is what I'm changing for the sake of this tutorial, is my message, who's receiving it. If it is just the one player, make sure it's on triggering. If you're having this team versus team thing for hunting down things, you can put it on the team, triggering team. So there we go. We're going to hit OK. For the already collected one, we're going to check, make sure this is on. Check result on. Yes, perfect. Message, already collected. I can't spell. Message recipient is going to be on triggering players. Like I said, if it's going to be a team thing, this is where you would check the team that you would want. We are going to have it triggering player. And another 2 seconds for this one. So again, just personal preference how you're doing it. Okay. And then we also had it send to this item granter over here. So let's just double check and make sure that that setting is in there. I already have that set. I'll tell you that right in a second here. Grant item receiving from the switch when it's turned on. For this setting, enabled on game start, yes, receiving players triggering. On grant action, keep all. So, if they're collecting multiple things, you want them to keep the things they've already collected before. If you change this, it's going to either clear the resources, clear the inventory, or clear the resources, items, or inventory. I am so tongue-tied. Everything else here, you can just leave alone. You can have it however you want. It's not going to affect how this works. Grant on game start, though, double check and make sure that is off. Game start off, keep the items, and enable on game start, yes, receiving players triggering. Okay, so we've got our system here. We've got it set up. that's great, fine and dandy. You saw in the beginning of this video that how it works. The reason I'm not going to show it right now is because I want to set up all 3 of these. And if you're not careful, when you copy these devices, every single event and function is going to copy with it. So we're going to do it one at a time. I'm going to grab you. I'm going to grab you. I'm going to copy. Turn drops off real quick. I'm actually going to put you beside so I don't lose track. All right. So now this one is called single use 2. And this one is called switch single use 2. And of course, you're free to name this however you like. So let's say I'm putting this one inside a closet. I could call this button collect closet. Just make sure whatever you're naming your devices make sense to you. All right, so if I go into here, I'm going to double check my events and everything. Turning on is going to receive, as should match what we have up here, single use 2. And the check state we're receiving from should match number 2, which is our new button. If you do this and just copy one at a time, if you just do like this, you're going to have a mess. Don't do that. Just don't do that. Do it the way I did. Grab one, grab the other, copy, move over, you set your new one, you name it the way you want, and if all goes well, when you look at your settings, turn on from number 3, and that's there, and double check everything here is going where it needs to go. And boom, 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 there you go. All that's left to do is put your buttons on your items that you want the player to collect. Okay? So the game technically is ready to go. You are ready to go. Everything's great. You don't have to do anything else unless you want to allow the players to track their process with their friend, the tracker. The tracker. Anyway, let me stop being silly. So for our tracker to work and connect to all of this, which is why I'm doing this last, we are going to go into our tracker. We are going to go to functions. We're going to increment progress when receiving from. And what we're going to do is we're going to go in and add every single switch that was created for every single button. So for mine, I'm going to go down here and I'm going to choose the number 1, on, turned on, turned on. Number 2, on, turned on. And number 3, on, turned on. So now, what's the switch doing? The button is pressed. The button goes to the switch. It tells it, hey, check yourself. So when it checks itself, is it turned on already? No. Cool. So now I'm going to tell you to turn on. So switch, check. It's checking itself. It's turned off. Okay. Let me turn myself on. Okay. What's happening when it turns on? I am incrementing my tracker. I am granting an item to the player, and I'm showing a HUD device. Lots of work, but that's what the beauty of the switch is. Okay. We don't have to do anything else here. So I'm going to go over, I'm hitting okay. I like to save the event separately. I'm weird like that. And we're going to go over here to our options. We're going to make sure it's tracking events. Okay. This, I'm not going to mess with because we don't need it to reset. We're going to go number 3 because I have 3. You're going to put whatever number here it is that you have. Starting value starts at 0. This is, again, if you're doing teams, you can set that. Assign on game start. If you're having this where you don't want them to start collecting until a certain point, you're going to have to set up an event enough to trigger our tracker to assign it. We're not doing that. We're going to have this on. Join in progress. That's to assign it as players are joining the game while the map's already being played. I'm going to have that turn on. Again, you'd have to set up a whole thing for that if you don't. Sharing, if you're having just a single player moment, everybody's on their own individual. If you are doing it to teams, you're going to want to put it to teams and then set your team. We're going to do individual. If it's a whole cooperative event, you can have it on all. But again, this is individual. We don't need to worry about any of this. When the target is reached, I want it to complete my tracker. I want the tracker to be gone when it's complete. Don't need to mess with this. This over here, amount to change on event. That's when the signal is sent. We're going to just be 1. For the HUD, you can have it however you want. I'm going to leave it on both. Now you're just going to name your tracker. I'm going to name it collect coins. For your description, if you have one, write what you want. I'm just going to write find the missing. That's not how you spell missing. My fingers, they sometimes get in the way. Find the missing coins. Progress. Now, if you want it to count up, which is probably the best thing for a map with this system, you want it to be on total. If you want it to be where it counts down to how many you have left, you put it on remaining. So If I leave it like this, my tracker is going to say 3 out of 3. I like to leave it on total. Or you just have no progress, but then what's the point of the tracker, right? Tracker completion ceremony, that's completely up to you. Let's see, none of this matters. Quest icon, again, completely up to you. I'm going to give it a coin, and I'm going to color it yellow. Why not? And for the 1.0 friends, since if this is a game where you're using save, you want save persistence to be on so they can come back and continue their tracking. You want it to save, yes, load, initial spawn, and don't worry about any of this. Okay? Okay, that was a lot. I know, I'm sorry. But this is a really cool mechanic for Easter egg style maps where you're finding eggs, or in this case, finding coins, anything where they're finding things and collecting things, or if you just want them to only be able to do something once, this is a really good system for this. Alright, here we go. We're going to test this out. Okay, so right on top of my head, you are going to see the collect coins, find the missing coins, 0 out of 3. That means I haven't found any. This, I left my switches here so you could see them. If this was an achievement board, I would probably have them on checkbox. As you can see, I cannot interact with them. I can't force them to be turned on. So I'm going to collect my first one. Fingers crossed everything works. Yay! Coin collected. And I have my slap juice. And my achievement wall is telling me that I've collected it, if that's something you have in the game. If I try to collect it again, already collected. Nothing's happening. I don't get a new slap juice. Collect coin. Coin collected. I got 2 slap juices now. And my switch is turned on. If I tried to do it again, obviously, already collected. It's working the way it should be. And number 3 should complete my tracker, which it did. I have 3 slap juices now, and if I try to collect it again, obviously I will not. So that is the basic system, guys. It's very simple, very easy. I'm now just going to show you real quickly how you can connect the Accolade devices. It's really simple. Okay, so let's grab our Accolade device here. So there's multiple ways you can have your Accolade device from like this. So for this one, I'm going to show you how you can give them a little bit of XP for collecting each coin, and for completely finding all 3, okay? So now I have a number 2 and a number 1. So in this one here, I'm just going to open this up. Name it what you want. Coin collected. I love using that phrase, don't I? Limit the award count. We're going to go no. And the reason we're doing no is because I have multiple coins I want the players to find. Give it whatever reward you want. Splash eyes, whatever. Give it an icon. Let's do the coin again. Triggering player only. If this is a single player experience, yes. We're not going to worry about any of this. And we're going to go to our award when receiving from. Add. We're going to add all 3 of our switches again. And we're going to have it on turned on. So we're going to do that to all of our switches again. And so this is obviously like a really tedious task, but this is why I tell you to name your devices, because I know it's going to make it a lot easier. So now we have everything awarding as we're going to collect our buttons. So that's done. Boom. Now, how about when I found all 3? Well, let's go ahead and set that up. We're going to write all coins collected. Obviously, this is a bigger event, so let's go give them all that XP. Isn't there a money bag? Is there a money bag? That's the question. This wasn't supposed to be that difficult. We'll use a chest. It's fine. Triggering player only on, just like the coins, but this time we're going to change limited award count to 1, just in case. They shouldn't be able to get it again, because our tracker is going to be completed, but let's be better safe than sorry. And we're going to go to our functions, award when receiving from, and now we're going to choose our tracker. When complete. Okay. Alright. I have to go back to Hub to reset my save data, but then I'll be right back and show you how this works. Alright, so here we are. I have the collect coins 0 out of 3. Everything's reset. We've set up our accolades. So let's go ahead and collect the coin. 1, as you can see, coin collected on my screen. Everything's still working. Got my slap juice, and it's going to tell me it's already collected and I don't get any XP. Number 2. There it is, that XP award. And I've got 2 slap juices now. And it's not going to let me collect it again. And my tracker up there says 2 out of 3. And now for the final one, I'm going to have 2 things pop up. I've collected all the XP and that medium one popped up. And I got 3 slap juices and all 3 are done. and I can't collect again. And that's basically, guys, how you can make a single-use button system. If you're not having enough find, and maybe it's just something you want them to collect once per game. Maybe it's a huge XP bonus. They can only collect once per game. You want to use your Switch there. There's multiple ways you can set this system up, but always make sure you're using a button with a Switch for this system. I hope I didn't lose too many of you guys in this. I've been wanting to do tutorials like this, but I'm always like, oh, I hope I don't lose them and confuse them. If you have any questions, please reach out to me in my Discord. It's easier to help you walk through any issues you've come across in this video if you are in my Discord asking me, than rather than a long conversation in YouTube comments. So make sure you reach out to my Discord. It's in the description below. Guys, if this tutorial helped you, please drop a like. If you're new around here, or you just haven't done it yet, consider subscribing. Help a gal out. Other than that, guys, thanks for being awesome. I will see you in the next one. All right. Bye!